everybody? How's everybody doing? It's those guys. It's me, Lady Killer, and my friend D over here, my co-counterpart here, if you want to call it that. Today, we are going to discuss professional wrestling. Yes, we're going into that topic. It's a touchy subject because of what happened today, what is going on with this topic and this industry and how it's fallen apart and how Vince McMahon has lost his way of doing what he's supposed to do. This is the Walt Disney of wrestling, people. This man created, that went from taking his dad's company from being a third generation promoter, taking his dad's company and turning it into a global juggernaut, being the most powerful man in wrestling. D, I got to ask, what's your thoughts so far?
Well, I would say this, like, I haven't really, I've watched wrestling somewhat, but I got to give it to Vince McMahon, and, wrestling has just been a very important part of, our childhoods.
Oh, yeah, it has been.
And a lot of people, so I got a question, when was the first time you, what?
This on.
What do you mean this is on?
Is it on?
Yeah, it's recording.
Where?
It's recording, dude. See?
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Never mind that. Yeah. Okay. So
a question: when was the first time you got into wrestling?
Me? Well, it's kind of funny. I liked it a little bit here and there as a kid, but I never really truly started watching it. Probably up till I was, I don't know. I really got into it during the Ruthless Aggression era was when I kind of fell into it.
Yeah.
Oh man, back when they had it was probably about 04. I remember it was like Raw was a soap opera and SmackDown was like a comedy show.
Yeah.
The only thing that didn't make sense is having Hurricane and Rosie on Raw because these guys were just they were superheroes, and they had their thing, but their gimmicks they totally got over with.
Yeah.
So and Eugene.
Yeah.
Eugene, Hurricane and Rosie, all I felt, maybe Val Venus, should have all been on SmackDown at that time. You had everybody else was, doing the whole long spandex, and then you had the Speedos and the tights, the bike shorts, and the rocker music, and everybody else was coming out to those generic themes and everything. That's raw material. It's always like a soap opera, and it's so serious. And you had Triple H doing his thing, running the whole. With Evolution and doing whatever it was, because with DX, he had his identity was just prankster. He would have been SmackDown material back in 04 if he was still doing DX. But, he was right where he's supposed to be with Evolution, being on Raw, being the guys that brought the drama, being the guys that brought the chaos and the destruction or whatever it was, to being the top guys, and and then you had guys like, it just everything. I mean, Raw was just Raw was Raw, and back then, even the Ruthless Aggression era was a great era, but it was like the afterburner of the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And this was all post WCW and post ECW.
Yeah.
The Ruthless Aggression era was on the horizon. I think maybe when the Ruthless Aggression era officially started was when Vince gave that speech when he was out in the ring talking about how I stared a federal indictment in the face and I single-handedly defeated Lady Liberty in court. And you know what that quality was? It was ruthless aggression.
Yeah. So my story is I remember when I was a kid, I kind of like wrestling. I thought the early to mid 90s, I liked Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, but every time I tried to watch wrestling, I was like, this is so boring. It wasn't until the late 90s, and I remember because I was debating this, because I remember when I was visiting, lived in Virginia, and I was with my mom, and then my dad was in Florida, so I remember when I came to Florida that summer. Because we were staying at my grandparents' house, around in Oviedo. And, I saw, Stone Cold and, Undertaker in the brawl. And this is before he got ran over. Because I know it was 99. and I was going into the fourth grade. I was like 10 going to 11th, and then like 99, 2000 year was fourth grade. And I know it was like mid to late 90s going to 2000s because like even beginning of 2000s, like that's when Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, they entered the WWF. Like they were kind of in WCW, but they just entered the WWF. And then I remember like all the kids in my class. That the Attitude Era is the best, even though like there wasn't focus on wrestling, but as like the WWE and like professional wrestling is more entertainment than it's like athlete
Athleticism itself, right?
Yeah, even though there is a lot in there, but like the attitude, like people forget even the ruthless aggression, especially the beginning of that era. Like you said, like the back, like 2002, like 2005, like 2002 was the end of attitude, and then into the ruthless aggression era. And it was still just as hardcore as the attitude era.
Right.
There was but 2000 is like I would say objectively the best year of wrestling because like you still had WCW, ECW, like the Monday Night Raw,
WCW and ECW. Well, ECW folded in 2001.
Yeah.
Same thing with WCW.
And it emerged even 2001 was a good year.
Yeah, it was a good year.
But later 2001 it started to like I feel like 2000 like 99 like 2001 is like the peak years of like speed 2000 being the peak years of the Attitude Era. And like for a while like of course my favorite wrestlers is Hulk Hogan and The Rock, but like 2000 was just like wrestling, like the Attitude Era put wrestling into pop culture. Like it was just everywhere. Like you would like, especially The Rock. Like The Rock. You were in denial if you didn't like The Rock. Like even if you didn't watch wrestling, everybody knew who The Rock was.
That's very true. Yeah.
Like he hosted SNL in 2000. Everybody liked this guy because like
he was just charismatic.
Yeah, he
could act. He was funny. It was almost like he was giving every time he was doing, his skit or whatever on the mic. It was almost like he was doing stand-up comedy. Yeah. It was his way of doing stand-up comedy.
Because it's weird because I do remember like really watching wrestling in late '90s and 2000s because like Stone Cold ran over. He was out for injuries because for like 9 months, and I remember that time period from like beginning of 2000 to like when he came back late 2000 going to 2001. Stone Cold and I knew Stone Cold of '99 and he wrestled, and back then they didn't have reruns and everything
very true.
They just had live shows and so it was just crazy the stunts like you went through chairs, explosions, barbed wires
he got thrown through glass one time.
You had wrestlers like Mankind, Triple H, freaking Al Snow, Steve Blackman, Val Venus, all these
Val Venus.
Val Venus was funny
he was so funny, man. He was comedic. God, who else did they have? They had Stevie Richards. He was doing his thing with the BWO and ECW, but he was in WWF, right to censor.
But ECW was because Mick Foley was Cactus Jack in ECW, and then ECW had Rob Van Dam. They had Chris Benoit. ECW was more extreme.
Yeah.
And WCW ECW, WWF, now it's called WWE.
It's funny, with WCW was was a very watered down version, very
but it's weird because like WCW still had the edginess.
It did, but they were edgy, but they weren't boring. They were fun.
They weren't boring. It's just that they had low production, like the lighting, like the tech, like the editing, like Ted Turner.
But they made it work though.
They made it work. Like Ted Turner was not like Vince McMahon is. Like
he's the third generation promoter
of wrestling. Like he's pure wrestling. Like Ted Turner is more entertainment. Like he owns other channels.
Well, it's kind of funny how you say that because they had a phone conversation one time. Turner says to him, "Hey Vince, I'd just like you to know I'm in the wrestling business now." He says, "Great, Ted, because I'm in the entertainment business." It's kind of weird because he always looked at it as if it were sports entertainment was what he thought of what wrestling was.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like wrestling, like professional wrestling goes through like ups and downs. Like before like the 80s, like the 70s, it was kind of like rising up, and then the 80s when you had like the golden era, you had Jake the Snake, Sergeant Slaughter, the Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, and he had these grand shows, and then like 90 to like 95, it like WCW was kind of like it came in, and it was kind of like. Hulk Hogan went to that, and he had New World Order.
And he had the mustache off. I think at that time. It was just so funny how he came in doing his thing at Disney, and he, because I guess what the movie career was happening, and Vince didn't want him to do the movies and everything, and then, he was offered from Turner a deal, and he couldn't refuse, So, and then, along with that, it all worked out very well because. Kevin Nash, who was Diesel, and Scott Hall, who was Razor Ramon back at that time, what was known as then WWF, jumped ship, and they did the curtain call to where, somebody had to catch heat. Shawn Michaels was the champion, of course. Six Pac or 1-2-3 Kid or X Pac or whatever. Sean Waltman, being his real name, was not present at that time. So all four of those guys, and of course Triple H was the only one who had stayed who caught heat from Vince.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because he was also he married his way into the business.
Yeah.
The boss's
just
daughter,
come a little bit closer.
Everybody knows he's married to Stephanie, the boss's daughter. And with that, he. Very smart on his part, though. I guess like he had said, he can't help who you fall in love with per se. So that's very true in a lot of ways. But what's your take on that?
I feel like Vince McMahon, like he built, like he made like professional wrestling, and that's what I liked about like the Attitude Era, because like it was so marketable, and then eventually like there was like wrestling was known. It was like the 80s, but then like the 90s but it wasn't as big as like once you got to the late 90s and get to the 2000s, like everything, like I remember like. And like just like I had like the SmackDown game for the PlayStation and PS2, like the first actually it was WWF SmackDown 2000, and he had like the Raw game, and he had WrestleMania 2000, you know what I mean, and he had the Royal Rumble that led up to that. Like it was crazy. Like now there are some people that are pure wrestling like fans that would argue that like. From a wrestling standpoint, like the Attitude Era was the best, but it was clearly like helped catapult like wrestling into like the pop like culture, like because like there were wrestlers that became actors. Like Roddy Piper was decent, but like Hulk Hogan like sucked. But it wasn't until like when The Rock has really like propelled and everything. And and like I stopped like around 2003 2004 because I was like 15. I was like. And this stuff was just getting kind of like dumb. Like, and then I think after like I think towards the end of the Ruthless Aggression era, it started to go PG. It
started going PG. After that, it completely fell off.
It's so weird because like there's some people that like they're continuously be fans, or like they still watched it up to the mid 2000s, and I just couldn't get it. Like I just don't get like how like. how anybody, and I guess to each their own, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like for me, it's like, like even 2002 was a good year because like he had Booker T versus The Rock, and he had Hulk Hogan versus like an NWO versus The Rock, like like it was just amazing. So what are your like top five like top just feuds like storylines in wrestling?
Oh my gosh. Top feuds. Well, I'll tell you what. That WrestleMania 17 promo between Stone Cold and The Rock was probably the best promo I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
It really was. It was that those were two guys, two top guys at the time when the company was still loaded with talent before, it met its plummet. And, they had these, yeah, I mean, even if you had Limp Bizkit playing, as the track to that song, for that WrestleMania 2001 there, and, for, what was it, WrestleMania 17 in Houston, man, that was just when they played that, it really set the bar. It really set everything on its way to what it really was.
Yeah.
It just, it's funny. It's not. It wasn't the only time we'd seen Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But it was probably the really big one. It
Yeah.
was just something about that one was just the most epic promo ever.
But yeah, I definitely feel you. I think like The Rock and Triple H is like, I mean, The Rock and Stone Cold is like a classic
Right.
standoff.
But you had Stone Cold versus Vince.
Vince.
And you know that there's always, with on camera, there's always that chance that there could be, because Vince and Stone Cold on camera, of course, had a rocky relationship.
Yeah.
But it was fun to watch it because, these guys knew, they knew how to do these things, and they knew what the fans wanted. And at that time, I remember when Vince, when he had, stared a lot of criticism, publicity in the face, and everything else. People ridiculed what he was doing and hated what he was doing. He had a lot of parrots out there, but he just said, "I don't care. This is my product. I'm going to do what I want with it."
It's so weird. It's like
you don't like it, turn off the TV.
It's so weird because like it was so edgy, but like kids still watched wrestling. We still watched wrestling, like
Yeah.
And like I liked Raw and I liked SmackDown and the storylines which is intersecting those groups, like, but like SmackDown was so funny.
I'm just laughing about all those times, man, when they had started Raw. It was Raw is War,
and it was like
yeah. You had that.
Oh yeah, it was extreme. Like the entrance, like you had Stone Cold explosions. Like it's so weird because like I've seen I seen some Stone Cold and then he got like ran over and then he was out for like pretty much a large portion of 2000s. Like, so I liked Stone Cold. My cousin loved Stone Cold. Like it was just his favorite. Like, but like everybody, like The Rock was just huge. And like I got Stone Cold, and I was waiting for like his return. Like he was gone for like a long time.
Oh yeah, he was, and then he came back. But the other thing is that when they had, I'll tell you what, even without Stone Cold, whatever it was, you knew that whenever you watched Raw at that time, you knew. Sorry, yawning. You knew that like whenever you'd seen that theme song, that people can't even sing the words to it now.
Oh yeah, like
people still can't even sing. I can't even sing the words. I'm just mumbling it. But you knew you were in for a good show.
But even
great show.
But even the SmackDown intros was like do. I was like it was the SmackDown when it was like
when Rhino did the gore to Chris Jericho that thing.
Yeah,
they tore down that set. And they started with the SmackDown Fist, bringing that to life, which is pretty cool. That was.
Yeah, so it's interesting, like because like 2000 was just the best year because I saw it beginning even if somebody had started in the middle of the 2000s, like he was still in the Attitude Era. Like I had a couple of toys, I had the SmackDown, like, and I had like a couple games, like, and I had the Rock, the People's Champ on VHS, and that was like I saw like a lot of those matches. Like it's so weird. It's like I feel like if Stone Cold would have stayed and not like been ran over, well, he obviously had like an injury, he had to like take.
Well, I mean, he also 1997. He also suffered paralyzation
Yeah,
from being pile drive by Owen Hart,
yeah,
and he almost wasn't even sure if he was going to walk again for a little bit there. He felt, I think he felt as if he had been paralyzed for several minutes.
and it's so weird that like it's so weird because like and then you had Kane, you had Undertaker, and then with Kane like it's so weird because like when I was a kid, it's like I refused to believe that wrestling was fake. Like I was like, no, it's some of it had to be real. And then it took me years to finally, yeah, this is all staged. Like, but like Kane's storyline about being burnt in the face,
Yeah,
like all the kids were like, oh, we all believe that he was burnt in the face. Like he was just like,
he was burned in the face.
yeah, and like
They were kids on the funeral home. Him and Undertaker.
yeah,
I think Paul Bearer may have been their dad.
yeah.
Supposedly.
And then Undertaker and Kane were brothers, and it was like, oh, this is crazy. And then like I was like asking like the kids that watched wrestling too, I was like, what do he look like? He's like, oh, his face is effed up and all that, and like it was just a crazy like it was just like I'm so glad like just being that age and just being around like with that period. Like it's so weird because like Bret Hart was just like I never got into Bret Hart because like when I got 99 2000 like Bret Hart was out.
Yeah, he was at WCW doing his thing.
Yeah, he was at WCW
because of the Montreal screw job.
But I think even in WCW wasn't he out in 2000?
I don't know. Truthfully, I don't. But he was there. He wrote it out.
Yeah.
With WCW because of the whole Montreal debacle that happened. Yeah. And when that whole fiasco took place, he ended up taking off. Everybody knows what happened, And Shawn Michaels knew. Shawn Michaels is guilty of a crime.
Yeah.
With all that, with Shawn Michaels and with doing that, and then Vince McMahon lowballing. He took off, went down to WCW, and it was probably the best move for him at that time to do that. Who else? It's funny. You say beforehand what was fake. I mean, wrestling being make believe, pretend. But it's funny. There are people who actually have real heat with each other.
Yeah.
Like Vince McMahon and Bret Hart actually had real heat.
Yeah.
He had real heat with Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was hard to work with. People said at that time he was very, because he was always trying to get over, get what he wanted. If he didn't get what he wanted, he'd pick up his stuff, take his ball, and go home. And with saying that, the storyline between, Edge, Matt Hardy, and Lita was a very real thing. And I know you refuse to believe that, but it's true.
It's just for me, it's like even if it is like true, it's clouded entertainment. Like it's hard to convince people like the whole thing is that like okay, you can look this up through articles or documentaries or whatever and like think it's but like if they put it in a storyline it confuses people like because how do we like officially like if they were to like do a regular documentary like but like I'm not saying like I do believe it but like in the back of my mind like we can't be easily fooled like we have to be more critical like on the information that we take
right
and so like when you showed me that I was like oh this is pretty amazing like I think like so but like yeah it was just like I think like people forget like how like big the attitude and somewhat the ruthless, even the ruthless aggression, like like the first part of the ruthless aggression era, like how big wrestling was like because like even in 2000s 2001 like there was like news reports of like kids like performing wrestling moves
Right.
and breaking and like hurting them. This was like all over the media and everything. Like people would forget this is how big wrestling was, like, you know what I mean. And so yeah, it's just crazy. Who you texting?
I'm just looking at the picture that we had of
Oh yeah,
the Eat District play.
yeah, that'd be another story. But like people forget like how like it was just like the kids like would practice backyard. There was documentaries about backyard wrestling, and people would like hit you with glass. Like I remember like seeing this. Like wrestling was just like in your face, and then like I think midway through like ruthless aggression era, like something happened to wrestling,
Yeah.
and I can't pinpoint it. Like it just got like it got like I know things need to be changed up, but it's like if they consistently like I think it was more it was not only that Vince McMahon toned it down, it was more that they changed up the roster. Like they started adding new people. Like the old like Stone Cold was leaving out, like The Rock left out, like Al Snow, Steve Blackman, like all these guys were just like they kind of left out, and then you had John Cena, Randy Orton, like Ric Flair came back with Evolution.
Yeah, and you had Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho.
Yeah, Chris like Chris Jericho. Like nowadays, like who's left is still Chris Jericho, uh, Chris Jericho. I think Kane and Undertaker and Triple H are the only guys left.
Yeah.
And like
from the Attitude Era.
From the Attitude Era, like because even Lita left like after Ruthless.
Well, then again, the Hardys.
Yeah.
I don't know if they retired or whatever, but the Dudleys I think retired.
Yeah. And like from time to time, like they try to bring back like The Rock. Like The Rock officially left in 2003, like, and then he would make every kind of like guest appearance. But like a lot of those ruthless aggression, the Attitude Era guys, like they don't, especially the Attitude Era, like they don't work in a PG era. Like you know what I mean? Like you can't take Stone Cold and put him in this new era. Like he's too foul enough. He's too aggressive. Like
yeah, he is. I mean, it's funny that the only thing that doesn't make sense is that there would be a lot of people who wouldn't survive in the Attitude Era. You think about it, and I mean, let's say people like who would survive is everybody else who was there. They all did fine. Who was there?
It's so weird because John
Cena when he was rapping would have probably done fine in the Attitude Era. That when he was that hip hop guy, with his
I don't know,
because he had that attitude and he had the when he's pumping up his Reeboks and doing whatever it was. He would have survived in that era, I believe. Personally, I believe.
Like it's so weird because like John Cena is a big star, like he's like known, but like John Cena, like it's like when The Rock came back like a few years ago and he feuded with John Cena. It's like you go from Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold to The Rock to like John Cena, and like I like his positivity, and like it's like I've had a few people it's like they've cleaned up wrestling, but it's like wrestling is like it's back to a niche market.
Yeah, kayfabe is totally dead, I believe.
What?
Kayfabe is dead. That's when you're in character.
Yeah.
Kayfabe is so dead for the most part. When it comes down to it, the other thing is that a lot of these people abandoned what got them over. Like that whole thing. I'll tell you this: if let's say if Cena had not done that rapper gimmick, right? He would not have been over. He wouldn't have got over. But truthfully, I think so. That's why he's in movies and everything else today, because it gave him a chance to show his charismatic abilities like The Rock or like Stone Cold, and it gave him a chance to get over, and he found his identity doing that. And then when he stopped rapping, because he didn't need to do it, but it wasn't fun anymore to watch him. It wasn't. And he became predictable, and he became just very, very. People scrutinized him and whatever else, but because he just was too predictable. Everybody was they knew what they were going to get with him beforehand. No, you didn't know exactly what you were going to get, even though you kind of did, but you didn't know what he was going to say on the mic.
Yeah,
as he does now. Everybody knows what he's going to say before he says it. He might as well not even talk at all.
Yeah, I feel like all they do is like it's like they like and they do got they got Roman Reigns, they got like Dean Ambrose, like the Miz was a pretty interesting guy. Like I think Randy Orton, like
well, I liked Randy Orton back when he was the Legend Killer.
Yeah,
and he had his thing.
But like my whole thing is that like I think that's what I'm saying. Like I think like John Cena might be just like be average in the Attitude Era. Like Ruthless Aggression Era, like like he's the
like
star.
his character when he was that hip hop guy, he would stand out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
like he would have in the Attitude Era, but
like I feel like Randy Orton wouldn't like. He would just be like a below average guy.
He's a Ruthless Aggression Era guy.
Yeah, he would Ruthless Aggression, but like Attitude Era, like no. I don't see Randy Orton like, and then you have like guys like the New Day or whatever.
I haven't seen too many of these people. Like I don't know anything really. I don't even know who these people are. I don't feel the need to.
No, I didn't freeze you.
Okay.
Like, cause even like the. Like you had the guys, but even like the girls were just like you had something with Lita, China.
Yeah, and those girls can wrestle. These girls I've seen now, they can't wrestle.
I feel like what's like because even back then, like in the Attitude Ruthless Aggression Era, like guys and girls fought each other. It's so interesting that we live in a liberal time and SJW and that can be kind of described like that. And how people nowadays want equality and political correctness, but like in the Attitude Era, like you had equality. You had wrestlers of different races.
That's very true. But there was more, but there was chauvinism involved with it. If you think about
it. But at the same time, it's like the women and the men fought each other. Like it was true. It was equality. Like I feel like the Attitude Era like wouldn't work because like they wouldn't allow like the men, like nowadays like the women's division is like it's all like a separate thing,
right?
And nobody's really like I guess AJ Lee is an interesting character. Yeah, Paige, but I
can't even. I mean, truthfully, like I can't even turn on the TV anymore and watch this.
Yeah, I feel like
I have no respect for.
I feel like the entertainment, the action value is like stepped down.
Maybe Impact I can turn on, or ROH I can turn on, whatever. But it's just ROH is actually a pretty decent promotion, but I just can't turn on World Wrestling Entertainment anymore and try to get anything out of it. I really can't. And there may be something wrong with me. I don't know. But you had people. You had some people who were doing it either for the paycheck or like Brock Lesnar really was just doing it for the paycheck. He needed income. I respect that.
The thing about like Brock Lesnar, like Brock Lesnar like is he towards the end of Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression?
Towards at the beginning of Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah,
like he was there when he first came in. It was like sometime early 2002, I think it was WWF then.
Yeah, because 2002 was just another great year.
Yeah, 2002 was just it was the end of WWF, beginning of WWE, and
like you said, like like the Action Era ended, but it oozed on to like the Ruthless Aggression Era, and I feel like my favorite when I was talking earlier about favorite feuds, like hands down, okay, Rock and Stone Cold was awesome, but like Rocket and Foley was pretty interesting. Like,
I'll tell you one what that would be with real heat. Russo and Cornette.
yes.
Well, even though Russo says he doesn't have any heat with Cornette, but man, that is probably But that guy, I'll tell you what, Russo and Cornette. Put that on pause and go back to everything else. You got all the other, Mankind, and you had what is it? You had Mankind versus Undertaker.
Yeah.
Hell in a Cell match, where he got thrown off.
And then because I remember like
and JR always sold a match every time.
Yeah, like
JR sold.
Like it's weird because like Beyond the Mat came out in '99. Like that was like it showed wrestling before I watched it, but it was still like in the Attitude Era, and it was like this is serious. Even though this is staged, it's like you can get hurt. And then when I was telling you earlier about how kids were wrestling and getting hurt and getting killed, it's like it's just a crazy thing. Like, 'cause it's dangerous because like look at Owen Hart, like how he got killed.
Yeah, that's another Vince Russo story, believe it or not.
Yeah, like I feel like my favorite feud was The Rock versus Triple H DX. Man, like I feel like him and Triple H just went on for like years. It felt like a long time. Like it was a great feud, but it felt like, wow, is this gonna end? Like, because I felt like it like started in the late '90s, like going like, and it ended.
It was continuously.
Like continuously to 2002. I was like, damn, dude, like but then like, and then it was like Triple H versus Chris Jericho, like, and then people forget like Chris Jericho was that.
You had Triple H and Austin, and then then they ended up being tag team partners because Austin turned heel, and the colors of his leg braces changed because he was heel, and he was doing that. And it was funny when Undertaker turned heel. He cut his hair all off, and he started doing his going from the American Badass to Big Evil.
Yeah.
He became Big Evil then, and but with that, by the way, Mark Calloway, Undertaker, very stand-up individual. I gotta say, my nephew went as him for Halloween, and I went as supposedly, even though I had a mask on, but in those pictures, I claimed myself as Jesse the Body, and then my sis went as Hogan. And they took pictures of my nephew as Undertaker putting the choking us both and everything and whatever else, and then we sent those pictures out to where Undertaker lives, and he went out to CVS and Walgreens to sign those, made them out to my nephew because my sis has some mutual friends with his wife, I guess. So, I thought that was outstanding when he got that. That just shocked me.
It's so interesting.
And that just shows you what kind of guy Undertaker is.
Yeah, because like I both love Undertaker and Kane. I like Kane more, but like they're both tall. They're like 6'11".
Well, Kane's also mayor of Knox County in Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
He's in politics now.
Yeah,
and I think he's got a degree or PhD. He's a really smart guy.
It's so interesting. Like they're like, what? How tall is Kane and Undertaker? They're like 6'11",
6'8", like 6'8", 6'9".
But I think Undertaker's like
that's built up to be whatever it is. They build them up to be really tall, like taller than they are. But they're just like like Big Show's really 7 foot.
Yeah.
Because you've seen Shaq. Shaq's just an inch taller. They're almost neck and neck. But it's. But no.
I think Kane and Undertaker are like a max 6'10", 6'9".
Underneath 6'10". Kevin Nash is 6'10". Kevin Nash is massive.
Yeah. But even like I think maybe 6'9", but like Kane and Undertaker 6'9", that's tall, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
That is big. Like I feel like
that's probably the size up to here. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean that's 9 inches taller than me. But
and that's the thing. Like I would never want to mess with Kane and Undertaker and take like a pole and like.
And you thought I eat a lot, man? Imagine those people.
Yeah, like
okay, they eat much more than I do.
Like people like athletes like are just tall. Like wrestling and like basketball.
Yeah,
in my opinion, have like the tallest.
Gosh, you had who was it? You had when Dennis Rodman was with the NWO. He fitted just fine.
Fine, yeah.
And then Karl Malone buddying up with Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah.
The Mailman and DDP. Doing their thing.
Like put it in perspective. The average height for a man is worldwide is 5'9".
5'9", 5'10", somewhere around.
Yeah, like in like wrestling, mostly in like basketball, like in all sports, but especially wrestling and basketball.
Virtually 6 feet and over.
Yeah, like Stone Cold 6'1", The Rock is 6'5", Kane and Undertaker 6'9", Big Show is like 7 feet. I think the Great Khali.
Probably like 7'4", maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that dude was like
7'1", 7'4", something like that. He's probably about as tall as Shaq.
Yeah, I mean, like, damn, dog, like.
I mean, it's just it's these. They find it's funny because professional wrestling, was actually a carnivalistic act.
Yeah,
because you had midgets wrestling. No offense to little people out there. I mean, I've known that some of you guys are, kind of like, we don't care if we're called that. I mean, that was a big act for them. But, I've met a lot of little people who, are in the wrestling business who have, they've met all these people. They met all the big names in wrestling, and they know all the things. And, I mean, for them, it'd be harder. They say it's harder to get lead roles in Hollywood and be something because, they are little people. But little people play, a big part in a lot of things. There's the guy from Game of Thrones who has dwarfism, but, he's doing his thing. With that, you had, I mean, people of those different shapes and sizes. You get those genetic freaks that are that big, like well over 6 feet tall, well over 300 pounds, and you get them, and it's fun to watch those guys move around and do whatever it is that they're doing. And the other thing is that you have, then you'll have big name celebrities come in.
It's so interesting because I was at a bar, and like I saw this basketball player because Justin had pointed out. He pointed out, he's like, here's a player for the Magics, and like he was at least like he was like up to here. And I was like, man, like
this dude is what is he doing?
Like he was all packed, and he's just like.
I'll tell you what though, if I was that tall, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, like
I would be using my talents to get over, or my height and everything else to get over.
It's weird because like I feel like it's more than being tall. It's about being like buff and strong. Like, and that's the thing about wrestlers. Like, they're more like basketball players are more slender lean. They got muscle too, but it's like, but it's weird. It's like I was watching when like that attitude era, when the attitude era happened. Like, I was watching a documentary on The Rock, and he's like, he was just tall for like a 13-year-old, and like he overshadowed like his classmates. It's like I know there's a scientific reason why there's tall people, but it's like I'm gonna look more into that, like because
giganticism. Some of them giganticism.
Yeah, like
some of them it's hereditary, and some of them it's the pituitary gland.
Right, and it's weird. It's like how come there's like not every like it is genetics is like. But it's weird how like some people just get like really tall, like you know what I mean, like
yeah. I mean,
but I'm pretty sure like as much as like because it's so much of an act, like Big Show, like Kane, Undertaker, like they probably like they're like the nicest people behind closest.
Oh, they are. Like I said, Mark Calloway, man, Undertaker is one of the most accommodating guys that's been around in the business, man. You got to respect what he's done, and he's got so much longevity out of his out of his career
Yeah.
doing what he's doing. And that guy just made sense to put him in that position. I'll tell you what, it was good that I'd seen an documentary, Undertaker, This Is My Yard, to where he was about to go play pro basketball overseas, and he was telling this guy who kept saying, "Come on, let's do this wrestling thing or whatever it was," and at this fitness club, and he says, I got it made. I'm about to play pro basketball overseas and everything, and I think he had suffered injuries during football and everything, which resorted to him playing basketball. He's quite the athlete, but at the time it didn't sound like such a bad idea anymore to jump into this wrestling thing. So he did it, and I heard he had about 12 hours left to graduate. It's funny, like Brad Pitt had 12 hours left to graduate in college as well, and he took a gamble.
Yeah.
Like Undertaker, Stone Cold took that gamble. He had like a credit hours left to graduate college, but they just took that gamble and did it. And they went out and chased whatever it was, and because Undertaker was the size he was and he could move swiftly, and he actually he actually is slick, unlike you. But I mean, he did that, and he was at WCW with the Skyscrapers with Teddy Long, and I think I can't remember who the other guy was, but he went by Mean Mark Callis. They complement each other's styles, and he virtually left WCW without a job, and he was told that he was a good athlete, but he'll never amount to anything, and nobody will pay to see him, buy a ticket to ever see him wrestle. He tried to get an appointment with Vince. This is long story short, and I know this because I've seen it several times, and Vince was like, we don't have anything for you right now, and we'll possibly let you know. So he was contemplating what he was going to do, get a job somewhere, maybe go to Japan. He was sitting at the phone one day because he left WCW without a job. And he said he picked up the phone and he heard, hello, this is The Undertaker. And he's thinking, who's this? And he wants to know, it was one of my friends playing a joke. And then it occurred to him that it was Vince. Vince called because Vince had this old image of the Western Undertaker, big black coat, big black hat, the tie, the 5 o'clock shadow, the long hair, the size, the shoulders. He had that whole image, and Mark Calloway had, was the best fit for it, the best one for it. I couldn't think of anybody who would have been that. But what's funny is he was originally supposed to be called Kane the Undertaker. But what happened was that I guess Ted DiBiase Sr., sorry, my yawning, read the card when his debut came in Survivor Series and says, I give you, for my mystery partner from Death Valley, I give you the Undertaker. And then it went on from there. And and then when it all came, it all fell together for him from there. This guy just had been in doing what he was doing, and I mean, Vince being the brainchild of a lot of these gimmicks, coming up with it, and then with the Austin 316 thing, because he went from being the ringmaster to when he had the ringmaster with the short hairdo and the green Speedo with the dollar signs, being an associate of Ted DiBiase, but then he ended up doing the Stone Cold thing with that whole 316, with his wife was from England, and gave the name by saying, he got the name Stone Cold from, she had this thing of tea she was making. You better hurry up and drink this, Steve, or else it'll get stone cold. And it made a lot of sense. So he took that name, and he ended up doing it, and then that was the King of the Ring. Originally Triple H was supposed to get the push, but Austin got that push.
Yeah.
During the King of the Ring match when he won it.
It's so weird because like I think like it was so wrestling was so effective that it made you hate the bad guys, made you love the good guys. But like over time, like Triple H, especially in 2002, like people liked him. Like he flips the bad guy, good guy. Like
He did, yeah. And then for several years he was the bad guy, and then they revived DX.
yeah,
He became face again with Shawn Michaels.
yeah,
Speaking of Shawn Michaels, what happened to Shawn Michaels when he ended up? I think in 2001 he was on a hiatus, right?
yeah.
He was on a hiatus.
And then because like 99 and 2000, like he was still kind of there. Like
Yeah, 99, 2000.
like DX was like DX became more about like Triple H, China, the Road Dogg, Billy
Right.
Gunn, and like this is what I'm saying.
Six Box.
Yeah, oh, X-Pac, yeah,
X-Pac.
X-Pac, and then remember you had Too Cool and Scotty Too Hottie.
Yeah, and
no, I
Rikishi.
love that. And then the Royal Rumble because I remember the date because I never really we couldn't really like before like pay-per-view, but like I remember the day after like I remember like I think I remember when Scotty Too Hottie Flamass Jam Flex something
Scotty Too Hottie and Rikishi.
and then there was another guy who was Flex. And
Yeah.
I think one of them was the King's son.
Right.
Yeah. And like I remember when they formed and like they were like and Rikishi was awesome because like
Right.
Rikishi was just good, but like Rikishi could be like I always use as a kid.
He was Rikishi. I'll tell you what, with Rikishi, he was a big part in that 6-man Armageddon match in 2000 or something like
yeah,
that.
like,
When he got shoved off by Undertaker on top of that Hell in a Cell and landed on a truck full of hay, and all you seen was this big curvy guy with platinum blonde hair falling. And I remember Undertaker was up top, doing whatever it was, the busted forehead. and he was like, ugh! And he stuck his tongue out and his forehead was all busted.
Do you remember when like Rikishi came out and was like I did it for The Rock because he confessed to running over Stone Cold.
Yeah.
and then yeah I remember when like The Rock used to make fun of like all that like I like this. I'm saying like I remember like 99 2000 because like the whole like Stone Cold came back like later like September. It was like I love The Rock, but it was great. I want to see.
Yeah, you wanted to see Stone Cold.
But like they at first they made Stone Cold face, but then they turned him heel. But even when he was heel, when he was saying what, like when he was saying that, like he managed to like
he sold it. He
Yeah.
sold it, man. He sold it like JR, and Stone Cold were people that sold it. I mean, JR on the mic commentary.
Oh yeah.
sold it.
Like I feel like JR was like
Man, when Jesse Ventura was even doing commentary back when Vince was doing commentary, that's when people didn't know Vince was the owner.
yeah.
Well, I mean, back in the 80s, he was doing 70s and 80s, I think he was doing commentary. His dad owned the WWF back then. And, because it became that, but when his grandfather, Jess McMahon, was the first generation promoter and, had, started the whole thing. But, the third generation was what Vince was. And, it's funny. The thing, speaking of Vince McMahon, I mean, a little backstory on him. What about this? All right, I don't know if you knew this, but, he was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth or in his hand. You would think he was, but no, he grew up in a trailer park in North Carolina. And his mother and his dad divorced when he was an infant. And, he didn't meet his dad again until he was 12.
Yeah.
And I think he switched his name back from Lupton, which was his mother's maiden name, or Askew, or whatever it was, to McMahon again.
Yeah.
So he ended up being that. And, him and his brother had a string of stepfathers, and there was one in particular who was very aggressive, And he had to defend himself with workman's tools. And Vince always said, "If I lived that beating, then I knew I won. If I survived every beating that he gave me, And he had actually said it was unfortunate that he died before he could kill him. So Vince was going to do the job, but it didn't come out that way. So he actually fate took its course and took him in early. Because he was rough with his mom and everything else. I don't know. His mother might be estranged, but from what I heard, he gravitated towards his dad. Instant attraction when they were reunited. And, his dad was a very nurturing father and everything and wanted his son to have a stable life of income with, being a lawyer or an accountant. And Vince was saying, I wasn't cut out for either of the above. And, he fell in love with his dad's world of wrestling, and his dad did not want him to do it. But what happened is that there was a territory with a promoter up in the Northeast because the McMahon, Vince Senior ran the Northeast territory, and there was all these different territories across the U.S. And he said, all right, there's been a promoter who's been stealing money. And, I don't know if it's not stealing, but he says, he had to fire that guy or, because I guess, it was some kind of, he was a promoter, but I guess Vince's Senior was, controlling those territories and they may have been working under him. I don't know, for a little promotion. So he said, all right, Vince. But anyway, he was like, I'll give you a chance if you do fine at Bangor. I'll give you a chance if you run that promotion well or something like that. But he says, if you don't ever ask me to get a chance again. Bangor was a success.
Yeah.
And, with that being a success, eventually in the 80s, maybe early to mid 80s, him and Linda bought the company from his dad. And had his dad would not have sold the company to him if he knew what he was going to do with it. And, you had all these, the WWF is what it became then, and they were venturing off in other territories. And, Vince Sr. was getting calls from all these other promoters. I'm going to crush your kid like he's a grape and everything. And, once he started running the promoters out of business, who, in his perspective, he ran them out of business. And, he ran them all out of business and, or they ran themselves out of it. So, he ended up with all that happening. He ended up turning his father's product into a juggernaut.
Yeah.
Being as successful as he was, being a creative genius, brainchild for all this. But Vince now, I'm sorry. I mean, I know he's taken more of a conservative approach. He's taken a conservative approach for, the XFL coming up again next year. Who knows how long that's going to last.
It's so interesting because I was mentioning how like the women and men fought each other, and like you could say whatever you want to any male or females, and like they were so involved in like I think because of today's political correctness, like you can't do that. Like you can't, like they beat up a female and all that. Like,
yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not big on male to female conflict, and
but like I'm not big on. I don't like either, but it was funny. Like
it was funny.
Like when the Rock bottom Stephanie McMahon and like the people's elbows.
It was kind of funny, but at the same time, it was like
it was awesome.
You had, I mean, with China Doll, she could hold her own. They'd have her wrestle guys.
Yeah.
And, women like Victoria or China Doll would wrestle guys.
Molly Holly, Sable.
They could hold their own.
Lita, but like
yeah,
but that's pretty much why I liked it because it was like the whole like even especially with Stephanie McMahon, it was so harsh the words they would call like like all types of degrading, and it was just so entertaining.
Yeah, it was an entertaining thing because it was very chauvinistic, misogynistic, maybe.
But it was still equal opportunity.
Oh yeah, it was.
But at the same time, I do get it. But at the same time, it made great entertainment.
But yeah, women got their same pay cut.
Yeah, and screen time, and like they honestly look like, I feel like the women in of that era were better than now, because like, yeah, they don't fight the men, and like you're not really degrading them and stuff like that, but like they're not like as big. Like,
you're right,
and like I think, and that's my and that's my whole thing. It's like, I feel like when you were mentioning Lita, Edge, and Matt Hardy, the whole situation was real. It's like, I think that like some of these guys get along, but I think a lot of these guys don't get along either. At the same time.
no, there's a lot of, I mean, professionally, I mean, they a lot of them. Okay, let's say this, that a lot of them possibly do get along and everything, but then there's like some of them they just don't. I mean, they don't. They have trouble getting along backstage, but if they work with each other outside the out in the ring, they have, they say, I don't have any problem with them working with them in the ring or whatever else, but per se, but most of the time it's just the type of whatever it is, it's just a pain in the hide, to work with them behind stage, or being around them, like with Shawn Michaels, everybody said that he was just a pain in the hide. And then he took that hiatus in 01, right?
Yeah,
he took like a hiatus and he came back in 02. His hair he cut a lot of his long hair off, became a born again Christian, and virtually he stopped doing what he was doing, and he was.
Oh yeah, he did become a Christian, didn't he?
Yeah, he became a born again Christian.
Didn't Shawn Michaels have like a TV show recently?
I don't know. No, he had a movie. He had a movie about some religious film he did.
Yeah. I think that like I hate when like celebrities do that. Like they there's nothing wrong. Like, regardless if you go be religious or born again Christian, I get it, but at the same time, it's like work is work. It's like you don't have to like drop your job or your career. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you put it this way. Sometimes they feel that they do because a higher power has taken it. What it is. I mean, whether if you do or don't believe in a higher power, I mean, that's just that's the impact that it takes on you. I don't do or don't. But
it's also weird. I think like when it comes to like.
But he made it easier for people to work with him after all that.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like in like those like career fields, it's like there is a morality like put on, like, because you're doing a visual medium. Compared to other careers, it's like a fisherman, a garbage man. It's like they're not really immoral. They're amoral. Like they're just what it is, and like you can continue. But anyways, I feel like some of these guys just like, because we don't know these guys personally or go have us backstage. We can only
only get the info from sources and everything else.
But it's almost like any other athletic career or acting or entertainment career. Like, they probably respect each other because they do the same thing. But like, just because you're in the same business doesn't mean you get along with everybody. Like,
it's very true.
Like even at our jobs, we probably don't get along with a lot of other people.
Oh yeah, there's a few people. I could name some people that I've been annoyed by a couple people, but I actually don't know one of their names.
Because even with like Vince McMahon, I think a lot of those guys like just didn't get along. Like especially after the Chris Benoit thing. Yeah. Like, I was watching a documentary, and like how he died of steroids, and like Vince McMahon knew about it.
Yeah, he killed himself.
Yeah.
But with that, back in '94, he was staring a federal indictment in the face because he was distributing steroids.
Yeah.
let's put it this way: Hulk Hogan testified against that, and so Vince could have gone to jail for a very long time. But the other thing is that they've asked Vince if he's done them, and I mean you've seen Vince's physique.
Yeah.
He just says, well, he kind of gave off the thing like, well, I mean, if let's just say it's always better not to get caught. He gave off some kind of clues like that. Yeah, he does steroids. Steroids are catching up to him.
He's like, it's better not get caught. Like flexing a big giant muscle. Like it's so weird because
Vince McMahon, I'll tell you what, he is the most. Let's speak a little more on Vinnie Mac. I'll tell you something about him. All right, this guy has got the biggest inferiority complex ever, along with the weirdest eating habits. And I mean, all this guy does is work, exercise, and that's it. That's all he does with his life.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, but like,
Vince McMahon. That's all he does.
But I feel like people like steroid is a type of drug, is a substance that alters your body's chemistry, like any other in your mind, like any other drug like that you take as a substance.
Oh yeah.
But like people like. For steroids to work, like you still have to work out. Like steroids give you.
Oh yeah, that's true. And that's
like the whole point of steroids is like it's
look
like
at Scott Steiner.
Yeah,
Scott Steiner.
Buff Bagwell, something like that.
Scott Steiner is just his arms are like out to here.
Because I remember like Scott Steiner was like in his 50s and he was just like he was buff. I think Buff Bagwell was in his 50s and 60s. Like I understand like
those guys aren't that old yet.
No, I'm thinking even back then, like, I think Scott Steiner was, like, what?
He probably was, like, 30-something.
Like, going in his 40s, like, it's weird. It's like, but, like, steroids are just, like, they...
I mean, Hogan's juiced. He admitted that.
Yeah, like...
Superstar Billy Graham said he's seen him inject steroids before.
Yeah, and people need to, like, understand, steroids make you have bigger muscles, but, like, it just boosts you when you work out. Like, when you work out... It's a cheating effect. So like, Hulk Hogan is like, Hulk Hogan was just like, it was so obvious. But like, those things have like detrimental effects because like, after a while, like, those things F you up and like you can see like the
they do. I mean, look at Vince. Steroids are catching up to him.
Yeah, like
it will catch up to you. I mean, I'll tell you what though, Vince. That man has dodged some serious bullets. There had been rape allegations with Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
To the first female ref, he virtually forced himself upon her, whatever else. And then there had been other things like I'd heard Patterson and Briscoe, one of those two guys, was accused of predatorial acts, towards some kid that was working in WWF. One of those guys. They're sickos. One of those two dudes.
Yeah, it's so interesting because of like the current Me Too movement and like a lot of like last year or two, like a lot of especially male celebrities.
Yeah, like R. Kelly.
R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, like all these guys, and like I kept thinking like. I'm surprised that like nobody in the WWE.
I'm surprised Vince McMahon has got away with a lot.
Yeah, but I feel like if this was the Attitude Era, like you put the Attitude Era in this era, like
man,
half those guys would be in trouble.
Vince would be a target.
Yeah, Stone Cold, Triple H, all those guys, half of those guys. Would be
I mean, gosh, it'd be a target, but that's all staged. The other thing is that. And it has to be personal though. Like I think Stone Cold may have had some kind of altercation with his wife Deborah Marshall at the time, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they had some kind of thing to where with Vince, I'm surprised he's got away with a lot of stuff. I've heard things like I mean, Vince McMahon is just, he's the guy is got to be, in general, this dude is, everybody always says he's part robot, and
part
machine. He doesn't think he's ever going to die is what it is, and the guy, people are like, I've never seen him break down. I've never seen him cry. It's like, dude, you got to go change the batteries in your arm, like go plug in somewhere, charge up. It's like It's like, what are you made of?
Yeah,
You know, Vince, I don't know when he sleeps. I hear he is in Stamford, Connecticut, where he lives. We got a mutual friend who lives not too far from him. He lives in supposedly a very wealthy neighborhood. Vince McMahon, I'll tell you what, from what I hear, he is the first one to enter the building in Stamford, right? First one there, last one to leave. And you know, they go to Jim Cornette has said that they would go to a a very ritzy place in Stamford, right? And you know, there was some kind of healthy meal. You'd have like light bread with light mustard and turkey on it and everything. And Vince looks at food as fuel, nothing for enjoyment. And he's sitting there looking through his pen and paper and looking through, you know, flipping the papers, writing stuff down while he's, you know, hogging down, you know, 3 bites, the sandwich is gone, the drink, you know, or whatever, because it just doesn't get it out of the way. This man keeps a shaving razor in his, you know, in his briefcase, and he attacks his face till it's beet red. You know,
like this was saying, like, I think that what Joe Cornette was talking about, like, and even though Cornette has worked in the wrestling business and he's got some of his points, I still think that, like, he's kind of a whistleblower.
no, you think he's a whistleblower?
I think, like, the stuff he says about Vince Russo and how he messed with the industry.
Well, I mean, a lot of it. Well, you got to keep in mind though, a lot of the stuff did plummet. You know, WCW plummeted. You know, because Vince Russo went there, plummeted it, and he still constantly emails Vince McMahon, I can save you, I can do this, I can do that. Look, the other thing is when they had that WWF taping in Germany, and it was a cold match, it was like, you know, the lighting was terrible and everything else and whatever. Vince lost his mind about it because he knew it was going to suck to begin with, but he still was unhappy with it. And you know, everybody else he scolded at for, you know, making it look terrible and everything else. And the show was just awful. And Russo being like the favorite boy in class, just saying, I told you guys that it would happen, you know. So Vince started listening to his ideas, and probably about to Cornette, maybe, I mean, he'd give him the benefit of the doubt, saying that it would be about, you know, 98 out of 100 of the ideas sounded good. You know, so being that there was just 2 ideas that sounded good out of 100. So, you know, he was just spewing off ideas, and, you know, logic really is meaningless to where, you know, you got like, I don't know, you know, Ford Texas coming out of the wall, sucking people in or something like that. Some kind of hauntings, you know, just weird things that, you know, make no sense. You know, it's like when Bam Margera had that stalker that was in his house, and, you know, stood over him and watched him in the middle of the night, saying the owl from Jupiter had sent me. You know, so, you know, that none of that made sense. But, you know, because with Owen Hart's gimmick, the blue blazer, and he fell to his death, you know, people say, Vince Russo claims, bro, I still get tweets about Owen Hart's death. You know, bro, you know, to this day, I still get tweets, you killed Owen Hart and everything. I mean, you know, everybody, because, you know, Cornette has this burning hatred of Vince Russo, and he's always saying stuff like, he goes, everybody who's worked with you in the last 20 years has nothing but bad things to say about you. Bret Hart said you should be hung in a parking lot, you know, and everything else, you know. I mean, but, you know, it's funny to hear Jim Cornette just spew off about Vince Russo. He's made it his life's mission to, he's like, I will spend money to cost you money. It is my life's work. It's not a hobby. It's my life's work. I don't make money off this. I do it actually as a hobby, but it's my life's work to make sure that you don't make another dime in this business. It's like, man, you focus all that, and he's all like, I'm on a low-carb diet. I'm going to try to outlive Russo so I can spit on his grave. I'm like, geez. Dude, you're so focused on destroying this guy.
This dude's obsessed with him.
He is. He's obsessed with him. It's like
Batman and Joker. I think that in reality, if it came down to it, I mean, he has claimed that he would give Vince Russo the axe if he could get away with it.
But but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not like obviously he knows like, but my whole thing is that like and then he went after like and then he talked about like Vince McMahon, and it's like I feel like he resents their business. I think like when it comes down to it, like he would probably talk junk about every other wrestler. Like either someone like I feel like he would come something about The Rock, maybe something damaging or something.
Who, Vince Russo?
Joe Cornette. Like,
Jim Cornette? No, Jim Cornette actually, he give his all right when he gets on, whatever it is, the interviewer show that I can't remember the name of it. Whatever Casey's interviewing thing or whatever it is. He gives his fair opinion on who he thinks. Like he's got a list of people he despises the most, and he'll put people like Mark Madden or Dixie Carter or what's his face, Ed Ferrara, and then of course he'll put Vince Russo at the top, and with everybody else, he's already explained why, but he's explained why because to Vince Russo, the wrestling business, that what Jim Cornette thinks about Vince Russo, what he thinks of is it's a joke. It's always he doesn't know what he's doing. He comes up with these terrible ideas where logic doesn't exist, and like I was saying before.
But at the same time, it's like I think Joe Cornette, like, he takes it too far. Like, I think he's just like
the fact that he says he would axe him if he could if he could get away with it. I'm like, dude, I don't understand how you can hate somebody that badly. I mean, but it's like, dude, you're wasting your time hating this guy so much.
But also I think it, like. That's what I'm saying. Like, it comes from like there is a big that's what I'm saying. Like Joe Cornette. Like, the thing is like I don't care much of that situation, but like this situation is just so intense. Like, I feel like there's a bitterness in Joe Cornette. Maybe he needs to go to church.
Maybe he does. He's an atheist, but maybe he needs Christ.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something is Cornette an atheist?
Yeah, he is.
But like, still, dude,
I mean, hey, that's. I mean, you can't force anybody to believe anything. Religion, it's an unsettling topic along with politics. Politics and religion are the root of anger. All right, let's be real.
It's so weird because like I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about Star Wars, and it's like, yeah, like religion and politics are like hot buttons.
Yeah, they are.
But Star Wars is a mix of religion and politics, and it's
so
effed up, and we love it, dude, and hate it at the same time. It's like,
well, but it's fantasy also.
True, but still, it's like you got like the religion aspects of the Force, and you got the politics of the Empire and the Trade Federation, and,
right.
And it just mixes these things together, and it's like
that's true.
And it shouldn't work, but it works for like and like but like you're saying, it's like but like for the wrestling thing, it's like I get it, like you shouldn't like mix religion and politics, and like certain movies like Star Wars does that, but it works. But like but back to like the
Jim Cornette thing.
Yeah, I
hating on Vince Russo.
But like the thing about like wrestling, it's like when I was 15, 16, I said, okay, this stage is not real, and we it's obvious. But at the end of the day, it's like you still gotta train. There's still athleticism. It's still a competition. It's predetermined, and I get it that some people, like, I think in the Action Era, like, people were still like that Action Era, even beginning of Ruthless Aggression Era, like, people were just debating, was this fake or not? Like it was just like, we know
that was at that time, wrestling just kept everybody on the edge of their seat. It was targeted towards guys like me and Lady Killer and D, virtually or college aged people or whatever else.
Yeah, like
now it's geared towards families and little kids, and
it's so weird because even women, like girls, watched wrestling back then. It's like I mean, it was like
because
it was just that intense, like and I think like people like forget like a sport is like a physical sport is like a competition.
It's competition, but it's a show.
It's a
storyline.
But
the storyline is the allure. The show is the allure. The show is how you get into the aspect.
But like people like still forget. It's like there's still like heavy lifting. There's still flips and and hitting. It's like people forget like you could still get injured and hurt. Look at Terry Funk. That dude is injured. He you remember Beyond the Mat, like he had to take drugs, painkillers, all broken ribs, broken legs, and everything.
It's like dude, retire. Come on,
retire. Like you could still like you're taking a beating, even though and people like, and that's the thing. Like I think it's just called sports entertainment, but like I remember Dallas Howard Page was talking. He's like, yeah, snake and all that, but like he was like, yeah, you can still get hurt, and it's like people always say, well, wrestling just is a bunch of stars and celebrities, but it's like he made a point. It's like basketball, football, they all have their celebrities and stars. Like Dwayne The Rock and LeBron James are both celebrities. They both both do commercials. They both do products and everything. And I get it. It's wrestling is fake,
right,
fake is stage. But like at the same time, it's like LeBron is just as much of a star as The Rock. Or Triple H.
That's true.
Because
you got those big stars like how they did WCW, like NBA and WCW stars clashing.
That's what I'm saying. You have football players that attended wrestling, and
you had hockey players, and they had
that's what I'm saying.
Players from MLB, NHL, whatever. They all attended all
that. In a retrospect, like all sports. Is a form of entertainment, like basketball, baseball.
That's true. Those aren't predetermined for the most part. But wrestling has come out to be predetermined.
I think.
But it's funny. Even though that it didn't, it doesn't kill its popularity for being predetermined.
But it's so weird because but even some other sport other sports can kind of be predetermined.
It depends on what it is, but they don't come out with it.
They don't come out. Say like even in football, basketball,
that could be rigged.
They could be rigged, yeah.
I would hope not, but that'd be the case. But
I get Dallas, but Diamond Dallas Page's point is it's like Wayne Gretzky, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, and these The Rock. They're all athletes, but they're all celebrities. They all do commercials. They all in the entertainment.
Yeah,
business. They all.
Gosh, you had Mark McGuire versus Sammy Sosa. So was a pretty big one.
Big one. They're all on TV. They do movies. They all do the same thing.
Right.
It's all one big spectacle. One is more you're actually doing it. It's not predetermined, but it's I think the Attitude Era was so big. And I think wrestling was trying to get its respect.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I think now, after the Ruthless Aggression era, wrestling became a niche. It became just a small, back to and it and people
I mean, it's still ingrained in pop culture and everything, but it just wrestling just has lost its edge. It's not what it was. In Japan, I'll tell you what. Before we got to close up. But Japan has a different thing. There's one promotion in particular to where they have piranha matches, or barbed wire matches to where they set it on fire. It makes ECW almost look like a cakewalk.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but I think wrestling needs to come back to pop culture the way it did.
Right.
Just be strong. I think we're gearing up to that because before the Attitude Era, things were just more niche. Things were slow and things weren't that
right.
And it built up. Now we're things are kind of like, so it might like happen. I think that like, and like it's just like just to be young and just remember like how amazing, like how just awesome,
Yeah.
even if you weren't into wrestling, like you knew about it, like it was everywhere. Like you like The Rock is like it's like my mom did not like, because like to her it was so obviously fake, but like she liked The Rock. Like everybody that was that star. Like it was just amazing.
That's true. That's true. All right. So
All right.
what do you say? We close this up?
Yeah, we'll close this up.
All right, guys.
All right, so